to say sure. Good first day. Mature in the way they handled their first practice. I told them that I really liked the way we finished our 11 on 11. Didn't have guys on the ground. Great competition. You know, Liam Eichenberg's getting better with Dalen Hayes, right? You know, so we're looking for everybody to compete, but at the same time, we want to be able to use our technique to get better each and every day. So if we get guys challenging each other, making them better, challenging the ball in the air, all those kinds of things makes it, for me, a good first day. So that's it for me. Questions?
Anybody surprise you or kind of jump out at you on day one?
You know, I think what we tried to do today is give all of our young guys a chance to be evaluated on film in particular, so we'll get a chance to look at film. But, you know, I thought a lot of the young guys handled themselves very well in our 7 on 7 and our 11 on 11 period. So I think there's a number of guys that, you know, look like they're going to be able to contribute right away.
What's Dexter Williams' role going to be in practice moving forward? You
know, we're trying to get a lot of young guys some work, so you know he'll continue to get reps. He understands that you know he's got to keep competing and keep working hard, and he's got a great attitude. And but we got so many young guys, we want to try to give him as much work as possible.
Brian, what did you see from Wimbush today?
You know, I thought he did some really good things that he had to build on. In particular, out of the pocket throws where, you know, he kept his posture up. You know, he clearly has built some of the things that he was concerned about last year where it got to him mentally. So physically, through the screens well, which, you know, we couldn't throw screens very well last year. You know, the throws on the move, I thought he did a really nice job. And I thought they were much more locked in on their movement key. So it was a good first day for all the quarterbacks.
At what point with him do you ratchet up the pressure and really test him with that, given who your first opponent is?
Yeah, probably, you know, we'll see a lot of that, and probably once we get all the gear on. We want to stay away from a lot of pressures when we don't have the gear on. So it's more like practice 6, and then you pick your spots accordingly along the way. That, look, they're going to come down and they're going to play cover 1, and, you know, but they got to defend him. You know, so you can play cover 1 all you want, but you've got to defend one-on-one on the outside. We think we've got a really good player on the outside, a couple of really good players. I think Chase Claypool has continued to mature and grow as a receiver. I like his focus and his mindset. So we've got some weapons on the outside in cover 1, and obviously the guy that is the X factor when you play a lot of cover 1 is the quarterback. So Brian, we'll get to that.
I'm sorry. How good do you think you can be at cornerback with pride? What's the highest?
Well, I don't know if they've hit the ceiling yet. I mean, I think these guys continue to grow. You saw, you know, even, you know, Pride today. You know, his on body. You know, he's physically now being able to reroute receivers with leverage. That was a little bit problematic for him at times. He might not have been as strong as he needed to be. And Julian, what I like about his demeanor is such that, you know, he's on all these watch lists and, you know, preseason, but yet he's maintained the focus that he's got to be sound fundamentally, and it'll come to him. He doesn't have to gamble or try to make plays. So I really like their mindset and demeanor, and I like what's happening with our safety position as well. Much more around the ball and closing space.
It looks like, at least just today, I realize no pads, but 3 for 2 at those 2 back positions.
That's where we are right now. Yeah, I think your assessment is correct.
In the same way with Bauer and with Coney and Trinkle?
Yeah, I would say that's probably where we are starting. You know, we want to see more there, obviously, and you know, Jordan Genmark-Heath obviously is an important piece for us as well in this whole process. But yeah, I think that's where we are right now. We want to, obviously, that's not good enough. We've got to build more depth there, but that's where we would start today.
Brian, if Ian wants to get to the level to be the starter, to surpass Brandon, what does he have to show you during fall?
You know, it's an interesting question. I don't know that there's much that he hasn't shown us that we believe that he can't start for us and win for us. We put him in the LSU game and in the bowl game, and he made plays for us. You know, we really see him as a winning quarterback. So I think, look, Brandon can do a lot of things better. Certainly he can do a lot of things better. I don't think that we have that mindset that we look at him as a number 2 and what do you need to do to beat out the number 1. It's just that we got 2 really good quarterbacks that'll continue to compete and get better.
Did it look to you that Dracovic had some maybe first stage jitters out there a little bit at times?
Yeah, I mean, I think first time out, it's all new to him, but I just love his demeanor. He's a winner. You can tell just the way he handles himself. He's got a presence about him, and that's going to translate into good things down the road.
I know you didn't go across to watch the
No.
JV, but like when you just look at this roster at large, do you feel like you're better, maybe scholarship 45 to 85 than you have been?
I'd say 65 to 85.
Okay.
I think that's probably where the key break is, the 65 to 85. So a lot of those younger guys that we feel like, have the ability. I mean, watching a guy like, today, a couple of the receivers that are young receivers look like they can do some things. A couple of the corners, so I think our depth is in that 65 to 85 range, which is going to show itself probably in a lot of the special teams.
Is that significant enough to change how you would practice? Like you could push the needle a little bit farther because that third guy is good enough to sort of give you an accurate look?
No doubt. I mean, I think Look, I think one of the things that we've been trying to build is the depth in the roster where we can, certainly, take a guy and really work on some specific things. Like you can take a Miles Boykin now and work on some specific things in the red zone in terms of back shoulder throws and things of that nature. We weren't at that point. I think we're getting there.
Hey, Brian, from an off-field perspective, 5 days at Culver, what is the ultimate goal here?
Well, I mean, certainly every single day for us is skill development, with our team, and then the continuity of the group, right? Number 2. So if you just went out here and just developed skill and skill development, then you got to bring it together. It's a team game. So then you want to bring that unit together, working together, and then ultimately, a confidence in that group that you put together. So there's 3 stages. Today was, so much more about not the team time. Everybody gets excited about the team time, but it's really evaluating, Alizé Jones and really locking in and making every catch and staying in the moment instead of trying to do too much. So skill development, certainly important, for the individuals during these 5 days. And then bringing the 11 together as a unit, both offense, defense, and your special teams.
On the depth side, last year you had a very productive and beneficial right tackle tandem there. Do you see anybody on the line potentially putting themselves in the mix for action like that? Or
well, Lug's got some flexibility. Lug can play inside and outside. So as we continue to move through camp, we want to give him an opportunity to, to move some people around. But, you've got Lug and Kramer that got some flexibility to play both inside and outside. We didn't have that luxury, if you will, last year. So there's 2 guys right there in particular that can move around.
do you foresee any kind of tag team that you would want to do? Like
We're going to let them. We're open to putting the best guys on the field, and like you said last year, we had 2 freshmen with Kramer and Hainsey that got redshirt freshmen and true freshmen, but that played quite a bit. We'd like to play the guys that can help us, and if it's a combination of Lug and it's maybe looking at the left tackle position seems to be pretty solid for us, but we got to develop Banks, as a guy that can go in there and do the job. So there's a lot more work to be done.
Can you talk about Michigan, the opener at all, and if not, at what point do you switch gears towards
They
that?
know who their opener is. I mean, it's Michigan, it's a great tradition program, just like Notre Dame. They know who they're playing, but they know that they can't, get in front of that. It's really about sticking to our process, and that'll come close enough. It'll come quick enough for us. So, no, not much talk about Michigan right now. It's really about sticking with our process.
Brian, following up on Keith's question, 65 to 85, does that potentially upgrade your special teams?
The plan of this is an upgrade in all areas, but in particular, you would think that you would see a big effect in the special teams.
There was a lot of excitement last year around this time about Matt Bayless and the new strength program. Has anything changed in his program this offseason, or is there anything different from year 1 to 2?
Oh, yeah. I think, the first year you're laying down, a program that is not foreign to them, but they didn't know what to expect. So it was kind of the shock and awe, if you will, last year. This year, now they see the gains in year 2. Whereas first year it was shock and awe in a sense of, hey, this is a program that's really challenging. We're getting after it. We feel the gains. This year, I think they see it in all fashion in terms of their physical development, their mental toughness, all of those things. And I think the second year, although they wouldn't necessarily say, you know, Matt Bayless is this and that, they recognize that year 2 is helping them much more on the field.
I remember last year when you guys were at Culver, they were talking about how they weren't feeling, maybe they were the year before I don't know if out of shape, what was it, but could you tell a difference today?
Well, we really didn't see any drop off in any of the periods. You know, from 1 to 24, there was still a group that has been conditioned in the manner that you can just hit the ground running. You know, it's not like, hey, we got to take a pause here. We didn't take a stop or a water break or anything like that. This group's ready to compete and play. Now, we've got to be smart. We're in one session. They've got to recover. They've got to do all the little things right as well. Like today, they've got to take care of themselves if they want to come back tomorrow with the same kind of effort.
Coach, you were talking about the O-line earlier. Do you think there's any pressure on those guys to come in and step up, especially because you guys had 2 top 10 picks last year, be O-linemen?
Yeah, we knew that. I mean, we knew that in January that those guys were gone. They weren't coming back.
Yeah.
So we've been preparing for this. I know Coach Quinn's done a great job of developing that unit to the level where there's great leadership, there's guys that know what they need to do, and obviously, look, you pass the torch, you know, you move it on to the next guy, and they take that serious. These kids are a locked-in group. It's a great group to work with, the offensive linemen, and just a great guy to build that confidence in this group. It's a group that's younger, there's no question, but there's some really good veterans on that bring it all together.
Thanks, guys.
Good, okay.
Thanks, Coach. Thank you.